Hey, I'm Avalaura.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is Black Leave America podcast, where we highlight holistic wellness, travel, mental health, and self-care through traveling outside of America to reconnect and rediscover who you are. It's time for us to leave any condition that disrupts our peace. Black Women Leave America opens your eyes and explores new ways of living, but more importantly, new ways of being. Because sometimes you have to leave in order to find yourself. Sometimes you have to leave in order to find yourself. This is Black Women Leave America podcast. And today we have our guest coming all the way from South Africa, former aerospace engineer from California. She left an almost 20-year career to move to South Africa. She now owns a small traveling consulting company, Ms. Kenna Williams, LLC, where she hosts large-scale group trips and offers consulting services for group and trip planners. So please join us and welcome in Ms. Kenna Williams. How are you today?
Great. Thank you all for having me on your podcast today. I really appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, as you mentioned in my bio there, I just recently left a almost 20-year career. I worked for the Navy. I was an aerospace engineer and had an epiphany to basically leave my job, move overseas, and live a more minimalist life, if you will.
Wow. 20 years. So you had an epiphany. What epiphany makes you just say, you know what, after 20 years, I'm out?
Exactly. I'm thinking the same thing, like, okay.
Well, almost 20 years, the company that I worked for, I done pretty well in the company. And I think you get to a point where you want to start rising through the ranks, getting new positions, new roles, or what have you. And toward that part of my career, I was applying for different positions and being told you're not qualified enough. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. You know, how long have I been in this office? How long have I been doing this job? But yet I'm not qualified. Apply for another position, same thing. It just continued to go on. But my biggest epiphany happened in 2018. 2018, I had two major tragedies. My mother passed away April 7th, 2018. And one of my best friends who worked with me, sat next to me at work, died 2 days later. Wow. So the biggest epiphany for me was about 2 weeks after that happened, I went back to work. It was time for me to do my performance evaluation. And at that time, my boss at the time told me, she said, you're on task to do what you need to do for this year. It looks like everything is going well. However, I had asked for 2 months off work because, you know, I had just had two major losses. I didn't have an option. So, and I asked for time off without pay. And they said, well, if you're asking for time off without pay, you must be doing okay in life. And also you should at this, I know, like, why are you in my finances? But they also, the person also said that, you know, if you're wanting to do this, maybe you should look at your real life and pursue your real passions. And if you decide to leave this place, we will miss you, but we will understand. And her telling me that was probably, that made me angry. I mean, it's really, really angry at the time. Again, your mother passed away. One of your besties who was a travel buddy of mine passed away. And to hear, go on with your life. And I was like, wow, that's
bold. Like, we bold up in these streets.
I know. Yeah, just very much devaluing, like all your contributions to the company.
Behavior, you know? Exactly. Like, what happened to passion? She just like, you don't want to be here, so leave.
Yeah, but the total, like, devalue of the fact that she's been there, what was that? At that point, I'm guessing it was about 19 or 20, or have you made your 20-year mark at that point?
Very close to it. So, was like, basically when I left, I was almost at 19 years. But to hear that particular phrase, I was thinking, you know, that was basically the catalyst to get me started to say, hey, you know what, these people don't care about you. You need to care about yourself and basically get out. So that was probably one of the biggest epiphanies for me.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, God be talking. This is so interesting because I mean, my experience is similar. Nowhere near 20 years because I wasn't doing that time. But in the social work field, when I got fired from my job, and I was like, well, I was mad, but I was like, hello, that's what you prayed for. So this is what needed to happen. And so it sounds like that's very similar. Like you had been in that space, and this was just the time, and everything just kind of aligned together to make that happen.
Exactly.
So what were your next steps after that?
After hearing that, I actually switched jobs. I still work for the same company, but I decided at that point that I work in a hostile environment. I don't want to be in this office anymore. So I did an inter-office transfer to another office. Stayed there until I basically figured out, okay, strategy, I need to get out of here. What do I need to do to get out of here? Whether that was raise money, capital, save money, minimize things, things of that nature. I always knew that I was going to leave, so that wasn't new to me, but I needed to make sure that I was, as I would say, financially sound before I left. I'm, although aerospace engineer by degree, I did project management type of work, and I'm one of those people that, do I have resources to make this move? And I need to make sure it was enough for me to be comfortable before I would leave.
Got it. And so you mapped out a plan at that point.
Yes.
And when you mapped out a plan, like, did you know you were going to South Africa? Were there other places that you want to go? Like, what did that look like?
There were other places. South Africa was not my first choice. As you know, I have a small travel consulting company. So originally my first choice was Malaysia. I wanted to go to Malaysia because I looked at their business visa and decided, I can come here, live a few years, and if I want to stay, I can stay, or I can go somewhere else. But things happened, and I was like, no, let me try something else. 2018, I don't know if I could talk about this, but I met a man, and
talk about your man, yes.
No.
Well, the man at that time. Okay, we'll rephrase.
Well,
I've had one of those too.
Well, 2018, I met a guy, and everything went very well. We actually met him here in South Africa, and everything went well. We got engaged towards the end of the year of 2018. 2019, we were deciding, okay, well, I live in America, he lives in South Africa. What am I going to do? So we opted for me to actually, originally it was for him to come to America, and then he decided he didn't want to give up his lifestyle here. So I said, okay, this looks like, I was going to move anyway, so this looks like a great place to move. So I looked into that process, and lo and behold, we split up. And we split up after engagement. And after the engagement, I decided, you know what? I'm still going.
I'm still going. I know that's right.
I'm still going. So I stayed on the path to come to South Africa, went through the visa process, took about a month or so, and I just decided I'm going to go. And I'm here I am now.
Wow.
And it's interesting that you said that, because I actually have a really good friend of mine. We were at Howard together, one of my best friends, and she actually picked up and moved to South Africa, got married, now has a baby, all of that.
Wow.
So yeah, South Africa, I don't know what it is about South Africa, but yeah, she's been there for a couple years now and loving it.
Nice.
So so he was just a catalyst. He was just another catalyst to say, come to South Africa, basically.
Yeah.
So what are some of the differences that you've seen since, living abroad?
I guess the biggest difference for me is I'll say this. I totally downsized. I call it the California dream, if you will. I lived in California at the time. I had a 3-story, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath condo.
By yourself?
By myself.
Because that's saying something in California, because we say that.
Absolutely.
By myself. So I put that up for rent because I contacted a property management company. I decided to rent my house out, not to sell it, because I figure it may be hard to get back into a California market. So let me just keep this house. And I moved into basically a less than 500 square foot apartment here in Sandton, South Africa, which it has its perks where I live. So I'm not complaining about the space because it's small, but it works for what I need it to be. Also here in South Africa, there are so many different dynamics. There are so many different languages here. There are 11 official languages here.
Wow.
So all day long, I'm listening like, what did this person say? What did they say? So trying to pick up language a little bit as I can. And I don't have a car here, so I take Uber everywhere. So I'm not used to not having a car. However, with, I guess, the world's conditions causes the rand to be pretty high. So I'm getting my bang for the buck here with the currency conversion here.
Okay.
So talk about it a little bit. So you have this apartment. So like about how much are your like living expenses per month?
Well, I have to say this. I'm in a probably an interesting place here. You can come here to South Africa and probably find an apartment for maybe $400-500 or so, maybe less, depending on where you decide to live. I decided to live in a little bit of luxury, if you will. So I rented a 1-bedroom furnished apartment in a building. It's basically a hotel where they have units that you can purchase. So I told people I'm paying for location. I'm living in Santon. I'm not in the city. So I'm paying for location. I'm paying for security, paying for a champagne bar, paying for a gym. There's a restaurant here. There's a bar here. They have gym classes here you don't have to pay for. So I'm paying for a lot of stuff. So my rent here, fully furnished, it's about 800 and something a month. Yeah.
I thought she was gonna say like 1,500, $2,000.
No.
That's nothing. Hello, that's nothing. You can't even get a regular 1-bedroom with no amenities for $800.
You sure can.
Well, I tell people for here, this is I could have decided to live in another location that was even bigger and less money, but there are certain things that I wanted, and especially as a single person living alone, my top feature was I needed to have security. And also the fact that I travel a lot, when I come home, I want to be able to rest. So my building, they have an in-house massage therapist here. They have a spa here. They have a sauna here. So I'm paying for basically to have amenities to live here. So I figure for this is all I have to pay. Yeah, I'll pay it. So that's what I decided to do. And also I will say this, I don't think I've rented in America in a long time, but in South Africa, you can negotiate your rent. I don't know if you can do that in America. I don't know if you can.
No, you cannot.
So here,
absolutely not.
Like I don't know.
I was just about to say, to your point, I was just about to say, like, look, I'm gonna need all these landlords around here to step up their game. Like, this is crazy. Massages, fitness. Do you know we have to pay for a garage? We have to pay for our garbage to get picked up. Like,
oh yeah, in a lot of places now. Yep. That's true.
Really, wow. and that is pushed upon us.
You gotta pay for
like,
parking.
hey, no.
You gotta pay for everything.
It's not like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take my own garbage out. How about you remove that $35? No, they're like, no, you have to have this.
Wow. I pay for trash here, but it's, I mean, on the grand scheme of things, it's low. But in this place, like I said, and I have a friend that lives here. She has like a 4-bedroom house where she lives, and she pays about the same amount. But I don't want a house. I personally don't want a house.
No, I get that. Yeah. You don't want the responsibility. Look, I feel the same way about my house right now. I'm like, Lord help me. You don't want the responsibility. I like that you said that, because a lot of times, when we're traveling, so women need to hear this, like, because I'm that girl, like, I'm a foodie, I like luxury. And so sometimes we feel like we have to sacrifice those things when we're traveling. Yeah. And so I like that you said that, like, you're still paying more for a luxury experience at $800 a month.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Every time I talk to y'all every week, I'm like, oh, I want to move here. I don't know where I want to go anymore, because all these options. I'm like, $800 a month, and I got a massage therapist. And what?
At the same token, too, I'm like, Yeah, I'm the same way, Laura. Every time we interview someone, I'm like, okay, I'm going there. Oh, wait, I guess I'll go there first. Oh, no, I think so. You guys are very inspirational.
What part of South Africa is this?
I'm outside of Johannesburg in the suburbs.
Okay.
So I'm in Sandton. So they call this place the richest square mile of Africa. And if you come here, you'll see why. And still, with prices, it's reasonable. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There's some places here that are, I call them American pricing, but considering what you get, you're getting a lot for, you know,
what they give you. Yeah.
For what they give you, they will give you a lot for it.
Wow. So I want to take a quick commercial break so we can hear from our sponsor, but we're going to come back and hear more about Kenna's South Africa experience because I need to know more. So let's take a quick break. Welcome back to Black Women Leave America. We are here with our amazing guest, Ms. Kenna Williams, and she's talking about South Africa and how we can have luxury on a dime, literally. So, you know, what I want to know, and I'm sure what some of our listeners want to know is like, what are some of the things that you learned about yourself during this process of really just picking up and moving?
Number one, I think one thing that you can really learn about yourself is, hey, I can really make it. I can really make it. I can really do this. I don't have to depend on anyone to help me do this. There are a lot of people, when I made this move, most of my friends are nomads, expats anyway, so they understand this. I had a few people look at me like I was crazy, and they said, you know, why are you leaving your job? I had one of those good government jobs.
Yes.
And I basically just walked away from it, and people pretty much called me, you're an idiot. And I said, okay, great. I like being an idiot. It's great. You know, I basically gave myself what you want. I gave myself freedom, more time to do things. Even I laugh at myself. Today I was looking out my window here, basically saying, oh my God, I actually did this, you know? And it's something that you, I don't know, it's almost unbelievable that, you know, a person would do this. I mean, people do this all the time, but when it's you, it's like, wow, you really can do this. So that's something that, you know, I tell people you can do it. You may get a little backlash from family or friends, but, you know, this was a decision that I decided to do. And I told my family, I said, as long as I'm not asking you all for money, it's okay.
Right? Like, stay out of my business.
Exactly.
But you know what? That's really typical, though, of entrepreneurship. And that's why I kind of laughed at it. It's very typical of entrepreneurship. Whenever you jump out on that ledge and you start, hey, I'm going to start this thing, everyone kind of moves into a bout of fear for you. Like, you're not going to make it without the security of a job, which I think has been across the board. Avalaura, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all of the women we have spoken to have been entrepreneurs. Right?
In some capacity, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And what I find interesting though about your story, now, when would retirement have been for you? Because you were there almost 20 years. So when would retirement have been?
I still had longer to go because looking at age and the company I worked for, I would need to hit 57.
Yeah.
So okay. I would still need to work a lot longer. So a lot of people would say, oh, you're missing this amount of money, you're missing this.
30 years.
And I'm thinking, you know what? I don't think I'm missing anything. I mean, it's nice to have a consistent paycheck, consistent health insurance. I mean, I have to pay for health insurance now, but it's cheaper living here than it would be for me to stay in the States. So I should say that's one reason I decided to leave the States, because health insurance wise, it's cheaper to have it over here.
Wow. And how is the health insurance?
Health insurance, I actually have a policy with a company based out of, I think, the UK, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And I'll tell you this as a little joke. If I had just the basic insurance living here, without adding US coverage, it would be about $600 a year. Because I added US coverage, it's $3,000 a year.
Whoa.
Yeah. But if I had COBRA in the States, I'm pretty sure I would be paying 6, 7, 8 or more.
So let's break that down. So what does the US coverage mean? Like when you go to America, that they'll still cover you there?
Yes.
So they really don't believe in this American system over here. My goodness. I mean, so you're paying more than double just to cover you to come to America.
Yes.
Wow. That's saying a lot.
Yes, a lot. Definitely a lot. So I do, still have family in the States. So I go visit them. So I'm one of those people, you never know when something may happen to you. So you want to make sure you have that extra coverage there. And actually I was in my hometown in January and I was feeling weird, ended up going to the doctor and I just filed the claim with the insurance and they just put the money in your bank account. So it worked out well.
What? Just like that?
I mean, you send paperwork in with the claim and then they just pay you.
I swear, I'm like, we are just so hustling backwards. But we got to go through. It's so ridiculous.
I agree. I
mean, just think about that. Like little things, like you said, you gain freedom. Something small as just using your insurance is no hassle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow, that's awesome. So
that's the thing though. It's usually that first thing that people say to you is you're going to lose your benefits.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I was just talking to my husband the other day. I'm like, you know what? Everybody always runs to, you're going to lose your benefits. But if you think about it, how much money your employer is making off of you, your benefits are probably pennies. So you're worried about your benefits. Well, your benefits are, to your point, probably about $600, $800 a year. They're making $5,000 to $6,000 off your work. So
exactly,
it's crazy.
But that's the mindset. What are some of the other things that you learned about yourself? So you got your freedom, you know that you can do it. You found a way to really make this happen. What were some of the other things that you learned?
I don't know if this is something I would say I learned. I would say this is something that I'm realizing. I think I'm more fun here, than I am anywhere else. So I find myself doing things that I never had time to do. 2 nights ago, here they have this thing, which is so crazy to me. On Wednesday nights, for first Wednesday of every month, they have this movie night at one of the big studios in somewhere near downtown. I went Wednesday night. It's my first time going. The event is free. I walk in, they have free popcorn. I was like, oh, this is nice. Free alcohol. I was like, oh, this is nice. You get into the movie and they have the actors from the movie. They're there to talk about the movie. They have the director, the film producers and whatnot. And then afterwards, they feed you dinner. I'm like, and it's free. So, I'm like, oh, wow, going out, doing that. Also spending time doing silly things, such as walking up to people and complimenting them, basically to start networking. So I've been networking with people. Back in December, I went to a brunch. I saw a man that was distinguishedly dressed. I walked up to him, said something to him, and he was like, who are you? And I was like, well, who are you? And it turns out he's some film director, and we connected. So I'm basically building networks by just talking to people. So I've been spending a lot of time just randomly being nosy, like, hey, who are you? Or, if I see some people shaking hands, I'll walk in line and start shaking their hand too, and just to find out who they are. So basically doing a lot of networking here.
I love it. Yeah, you sound like one of my friends who's retired, and he's young, military, and he's just having a ball. Like, he's just out here living his best life, like traveling the world and just like, whatever, I can do whatever I want. And so when you have that level of freedom, you can be more fun. Like, you can be more spontaneous and just, try different things and don't have like an expectation attached to it.
Right. And that's kind of how I do my days. Like, I tell people that I don't really work like 8 or 9 hours a day anymore. I don't do that anymore. So although I have a business, I do dedicate a certain amount of time every day to the business. And then I have an operations manager in the States that she and we talk on a daily basis. So I can make sure, just because I'm not physically there, things are still running very well. So shout out to my ops manager, Sharonica, if she's listening.
That's awesome. So you still, so again, some of the myths, so you can still do that. You can have a business, you can still have your connections here in the States, helping you to run that business and live your life.
Exactly.
From South Africa.
Exactly.
Love
yeah,
it.
I didn't lose anything there. I mean, you still have that more momentum. And in my line of work, there are a lot of people that are interested in networking with me. So that's been interesting. Going to meetings, meeting new people, building new partnerships. So it's been great. These are the things that I couldn't do when I had a 9 to 5 because I had to be at work or I had no vacation time, or if I took off work, I wasn't getting paid because I was at zero vacation balance
Mm.
there.
So do you see yourself ever coming back to live in the States?
You know what? I don't know. People ask me what I'm going to do with my life. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how long I'm going to stay here. I don't know if, if this is home for me forever. I think I'm probably going to, my goal right now is basically to pick up residency in several countries. So I plan to be, I know people say I'm a global citizen and okay, whatever. But I truly want to be a global citizen where I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I think I'm going to go live in South Africa for 6 months. You know what? I think I want to go to Rwanda or wherever to basically go all around at any time that I feel like, I'm ready to go. So that's my plan, is basically to maximize my experience and how to say, make my time here count. And I don't know, try to get involved with, local issues as well, which has been interesting here. I try not to get too deeply wound in things here because I don't want to come in with what I call American privilege. So I basically spend a lot of time listening to people, which in America, I'd be the one doing a lot of talking.
The mouthpiece.
Here, I don't. I basically listen to local people, hear what the local problems are, what do they think about this, and before I even make any type of comments, because it's important for me to understand that I'm a visitor to this country. I'm not here to, I don't want to say I'm not here to change it, but maybe I can do something to affect things that make people make changes on their own. Not because I said it, but just say, what do you think about this? Question things and then go from there. So I've spent a lot of time talking to all types of people about what's right here, what's wrong here, what can be changed, and how can I be involved in this change.
I love that. Yeah, so you didn't come, because I mean, that's real. Some of us definitely do that. We do come with our American privilege and we try to take over. And what you said is, no, let me learn, let me step back, let me listen, let me see what's really going on, and then see kind of where I can fit in and make an impact versus kind of taking over.
Exactly, which I've learned a lot. And here, it's just really interesting. The weirdest thing for me living here is what they qualify, I guess, as race of people, which if you've been to South Africa, it's black, white, and colored. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's a derogatory term. No, but here it's not. And, listening to the plight of each person, and it's been interesting.
Wow. Black, white, and colored, y'all. So colored does still exist, and it's not a bad thing. They don't get offended, because yes, here, child, I'm like, ooh, colored.
Yes.
So who's black and who's colored? Like, how do we differentiate?
Well, here they consider a colored person to be someone that has like Asian, South African, Xhosa, maybe like European roots. If we see a person that's colored here, you would assume that they're mixed, but they could be Asian. So, or they may be what they call, I think, like the people from Cape Town, the Cape Malay people. It's just whatever. I have a friend here that is colored, and I look at him and I just want to say, oh my God, are you sure you're not black? But that may be offensive for me to say so I'm very careful not to put labels on people if these are not the labels that they use for themselves.
Yeah. So we all know about apartheid and in South Africa's history and roots. So how is everyone treated? I mean, are colored people treated better than black people, or or is everybody treated the same? How does that work?
I would say, I don't, maybe because I'm probably in a slightly bit of a bubble because of where I live.
Because you're American?
America, and that's one of the biggest things. If I open my mouth here, I had a conversation with a white guy about this last week, and we were talking about how sometimes I see some South African people here, not all, some, their approach to life may be a little bit too timid, or they may not speak up for themselves. And a white guy told me the reason why behind it. And I was like, oh, this is an interesting discussion. I guess a lot of times people in situations, they may feel like they're going to be fired from a position or something like that. So they may be shy or something. They want to make sure they do a good job or what have you. But I haven't had any issues. Like I said, as soon as I open my mouth, things change because they hear this accent automatically. Oh my God, you're from America. Are you Californian? I'm like, no, I'm South African. They're like, you're lying. I was like, okay, you're right. I'm lying. So, you know, I think for me, I may be shielded from a lot of things because of that. And the only way I would probably have a true experience is I would have to go somewhere with some of my South African friends and basically not talk and basically watch the interaction. But like I said, as soon as I open my mouth, it's just things happen. It's like whatever you want, it's coming to you right away. Even in my building, I think most of the people here, they know me. So they're like, Miss Williams, are you fine? Miss Williams, can we get anything for you today? What would you like today, Miss Williams? Are you going to come have lunch with us today, Miss Williams? And I was away for the Christmas holiday. I came back, the staff was hugging me, and I'm like, oh my God, do you guys do this to everybody here?
Wow. So it's American privilege. I mean, and it's so interesting. One of our other guests talked about that, how like you have more American privilege outside of America than you do there or here. I should say here. But
you do. It's true, and it's crazy that, you know, not that we don't have. We have privilege in the States. Don't get me wrong, but here it's like, and I try not to. You know, I don't like to. Most of the time, I don't like to take advantage of it. I just want to blend in as much as I can. But the clothes I wear, I don't blend in. You know, voice, don't blend in. So they know, but it just changes everything.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, what are the differences between the two that you've noticed? Of course, there's huge differences. You've already kind of spoke about a little bit, but what are some of the other differences between the way you're treated in America versus the way you're treated there?
Oh, okay. Let me not use any foul language here, but
I'm like, do we have a rating on this thing? I think you can speak freely.
No, you don't want me to do that. But I would say here and overseas in general, at least in my experience, my treatment, but this might be twofold. Because I'm in a tourism travel business, I'm often in places where people know that I have brought business. So the treatment is a little bit different. The place that I'm living at, again, it's basically a hotel. So I needed some paperwork printed yesterday, and this is a funny story alluding to this. I needed some paperwork printed, but I needed some paperwork printed from another hotel that I had just done some business with. And the person from this hotel, which is not part of the other hotel, they were like, so why are you doing business with them? Do you want to do business with us? And I'm like, no, I'm good here. Thank you. So people, they look at it and say, okay, well, this girl, she's bringing business here or whatever. So the treatment it might be a little bit different, maybe a little bit biased because of business, which that I will use to my advantage to, you know, do whatever I have to do to make business connections or things of that nature. So I see that. But as far as differences here, here people are more willing to lay out the red carpet for you, show you things or whatever. And I'm not saying that you won't get this experience in America, but I feel like as an American living in this particular African country, my experience is probably, I feel like I'm treated fairly well.
I'm gonna say yes.
I think fairly well. I mean, I don't know anybody else that would. Go ahead.
And I even thought about it. Like, we don't get red carpet treatment here unless we're paying for it, or unless, you know, we're a celebrity or seen as somebody important.
And that could be the thing too. Like I said, living where I live, it's like when I come downstairs, you know, and then when I don't come downstairs every morning, but when I come downstairs, come outside, it's like, oh, Miss Williams, how are you today? And I'm like, and they won't say anything else to anyone else walking around. It will just be me. But then again, I think also my personality is I acknowledge everybody in my building. I talk to the janitors here. I talk to the housekeepers, the security staff, the cooks, the receptionists, everybody. So I'm like, hey. So that may have a little to do with it as well. But overall, I would say treatment is definitely very high.
Well, I think that it kind of says something when, you know, the director and the actors are there at the movie and providing you dinner and things to that effect. To Avalaura's point, here it's kind of like you have to have proofs of value to, in some way, or someone has valued your life and your celebrity, and oh my gosh, you're celebrated and all on this top portion in order to have that laid out for you. But I think what I hear you saying is just being myself and just being here is enough here. And they roll it out for me just because I'm here.
I've heard that particularly too in other parts of Africa. I have a friend who did a tour in Senegal, and they met like the president. Like they rolled out the red carpet for what? A group of Black American women coming. They got treatment everywhere. They got invited everywhere in spaces that nobody else was getting invited to. So I've heard similar stories about, particularly, like I said, other parts of Africa.
Yeah, very true, very true. I have a friend here that works in an organization she's like, oh, well, let me invite you to this. So I'm like, anytime I get invites to go places, I'm like, let me find me a little cute dress here, you know, or whatever, and go, because you never know where you meet your next business contract or whatever. You just don't know.
Or your next man.
Girl. We talking about that tonight?
Yeah, let's move into my favorite question. What's the dating scene like?
Let me just say
we need to know, it's an African country. Like, some of us might be ready to go. So, Let me
just say this. Well, I'll say this, and it's quite interesting here. Let me give you a little background. I live in Oxnard, California. Oxnard, California is 60 miles north of Los Angeles. So my whole county was less than 2% Black. So if you had the desire to date a Black man, your chances of finding one was very low. And if you found one, he's probably dated all of your friends. So, you know, that was pretty slim for me. So when I lived in Oxnard, most of the guys I dated did not even live in the state. They lived in different states. So being here, oh my gosh, the dating scene, I've probably been on more dates this week than I've probably been in last year alone. It has been really, really, really good. I'm on dating apps. My dating apps are blazing. And it's like every day I either have a lunch date or I have a dinner date, drink date, or whatever. Literally almost every day of the week, I'm going outside. So
where's my fan?
Look.
I think Kenna just saw me. I think I'm going to South Africa.
I'm virtually fan of her.
So yeah, it's been quite interesting. And I will say this. Now, any process, especially if you're meeting men online, you have to go through the weed out process.
Yeah,
and you can tell right away if a guy's about something, if this is something you want to let go. But there's some guys out here that's looking for, let's face it, they're looking for sugar mamas. And when they find out you're American, they assume, oh, well, maybe she's here on vacation, or they don't realize I actually live here. I'm not planning to go back anytime soon. So if you're expecting this was going to be a ticket to America, sorry, buddy, wrong train station, you know? So you have that. But I've met a lot of nice, high quality, high caliber, educated men out here with their lives together. If they have children, they're taking care of their children. No drama or anything like that. So it's been great. I've met some really, really great guys. I've got some dates coming up this week. I'm looking forward to these dates to see what they're going to do. I'm not making any decisions yet. I'm not committed to anyone right now. So I'm one of those people that I go out as much as I want, and I'll make a decision later.
So ladies, if you're dating, I think you are the only person that we have spoken to that has said the dating scene is popping. So if you're dating, go to South Africa. Don't go to Malaysia. Don't go don't go to Mexico. Don't go to Thailand. It's not popping. Go to South Africa.
Don't go to France.
Right, don't go to Paris. Don't go to none of them places. Go to South Africa.
I know Avalaura's over there like, okay, right now.
I'm like, wait, what? Because me, I'm not paying for nothing. I'm going to have my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner. Yeah.
I'm so serious. I told one of my friends about that, and she was laughing at me, and I said, and it's weird. Like I said, you meet people all the time. Even on this past weekend, I have a friend here. It's so funny story. I met a guy on a dating site here 6 years ago, and he and I, we're not compatible to date, but we became friends, and we've been friends for 6 years. I've been coming here every year for 6 years. So every time I come here, he and I, we always link up. We go out to eat, whatever. And Sunday, I called him. I said, during the week, I said, come and get me, come and pick me up or whatever. So like a true gentleman, he sent a car to come pick me up, got to his house, and then he drove me. We went to church Sunday. I said, okay, I'll go with you, So I went to church with him on Sunday. Just so happens his uncle was there, and I was like, all right. So again, uncle. Exactly. So you never know who you're going to meet. So I always take the opportunity to go somewhere to talk, network, and who knows who I'll meet out here. So I'm keeping my options open, not settling because I don't have to.
That's right.
I will just do what I want to do. I've had men here try to get me to settle, and I'm like, no.
That's an African man.
Yeah. Well, I was married before. My ex-husband was a Nigerian, and my ex-fiance that lives here is also Nigerian. So I'm very familiar with the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
We don't need to say no more.
And I'm sitting over here in California like, what? Huh? My husband's from Oakland. I don't
My last boyfriend was Yoruba. We don't need to say no more.
Let's say no more. Okay. Say no more.
All right, then I'll leave that alone. We'll talk about that offline.
I'm back to American man. I'm back to American man.
Enjoy it. Oh, too funny.
Wow, I love it. So we can talk about this all day. But we gonna move on because we gonna have like the behind the scenes. But what I want to know is outside of South Africa, because obviously you've traveled other places. Like, what are some of your other favorite places and why?
One of my favorite places is I love the country of India. India is one of those places that most people ask me to describe it. I say it's beautiful. It's ugly. It smells great. It smells terrible. It is wonderful. It is miserable. It is everything rolled up into one. It is a terrible place, but it's a great place. But it's really bad, but it's really good. And it's one of the places I like to talk a lot. You can probably sense that I like to talk a lot, but India is the only place that I go where I need to shut up, because that place will shut me up and allow me to listen, refocus, and get back to life, set intentions, or do whatever I need to do. So, if I'm feeling like, all right, you're not listening, you're not doing right, like, okay, guess what? I'm going to India. I'll be back in a little bit. So that place is definitely that.
Ain't that nice? Like, I'm gonna just go to India. I'll be back.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back.
But I understand what you're saying. I did my yoga teacher training in India, and the energy, just when you step off the plane, when I went to Mumbai, I was like, whoa, it just feels different.
Yes.
I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, India is definitely one of my favorite places.
Definitely, definitely. But I have other favorite places for various reasons. Panama is probably one of my favorite places as well. Although I don't know if you know this, but 5 years ago I had a serious accident there in Panama. So we just had our 5th year. I call it like our. It's not a celebration. It's more of a 5th year survival date just last month from that accident, because we had, unfortunately, 2 of my friends passed away in the accident.
Wow.
One person was severely injured. All of us had some type of injuries that needed either surgery, time off work, mental healing, and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
but that's one place I say that, because I almost, died in that location, I said that Panama is my rebirth country. So I make sure that I go there at least yearly. So I was there actually last month on the 5th year anniversary. And I jokingly tell people that although I'm American, I'm really Panamanian. So I just say that.
How did you get the courage to do that? Because a lot of times, and this even happens here if we're just in America, but particularly if we're traveling, you know what I mean? There's a certain level, there's a vulnerability there, right? When you're not in your home state, in your space. So how did you get the courage to having a near-death experience where other people close to you died to say, you know what, I'm still going to continue to travel. And not only am I going to continue to travel, but I'm going to go back to the same place where I almost lost my life.
It's one of those things where you basically decide that either this is going to kill me mentally, or I'm going to push and live through this. So I made basically a conscious decision to say, you know what, hey, I'm going to live through whatever life experience I had. I can either act like this didn't happen, or I can face it head on. So what I do practically every January, I'm in Panama just about every January. If I'm not there in January, I'm there in December or sometime throughout the year. So I've been going there every year, basically. You pay homage there, basically. And this last month, I was actually at the hospital that I spent about a weekend there. I went there, did a little video, did it live with my Facebook friends, and basically to say, I looked at the window and said, this is where I spent this time here, or, where I was going crazy, because it's a crazy time. But you just basically learn to face it the best way you can. It's just, for me to face it meant that I needed to go exactly to the place. And it's almost like it's therapeutic. It's also healing to go back to the place where, this was almost it. So let me go back home, if you will.
It also sounds like it's part of like you said, healing, but part of an honoring process as well, of like honoring those people.
It is. And I tell people, it's the story of the accident is actually tattooed on my back. So I live with it. I see the accident every day. It's at the point where it doesn't, I've been able to talk about it for years, so it doesn't bother me to talk about it. But it's tattooed on my back, the whole story. So it's something that you live with every day, but you push through and just say, you know what? Here was another opportunity for me to get my life together. Yeah. Whatever I have messed up, people that I may have hurt or whatever, let me make it right. So I always joke about this. My marriage was great. I'm just kidding. That was not true. It was not a great marriage. But after I had this accident, I actually called my ex-husband and apologized to him for everything that had happened in our marriage.
That was a serious accident.
Yes, it was. It was bad. It was bad. So for me to call him, and he told me, he said, "Are you on drugs?" And I was like, "Well, I am on morphine right now." I made the call just to do that. So it was just, an opportunity to basically apologize and just start over. And with that accident, one thing that has given me, which probably for your listeners, it basically gave me another motion to say, I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what people think about how I live my life. I will do whatever I please. And that's exactly what I do. So I don't really care what people say about me. Don't care. My friends, they always tease me about my clothes. I have a particular outfit that I like to wear on a regular basis. They hate it, But I tell them, I don't care. I don't care. So, and that after going through something like that, you evaluate what is really important in life. Me doing things to move forward, move my life forward, and other people, bring them along with me as well. So that was one of the, I'd say a big lesson from that.
Yeah. So having a near-death experience really gave you the perspective and the shift to live life fully.
Definitely.
Wow. So lastly, would you recommend that I'm not going to say all, would you recommend that Black women leave America?
That is a great question. For me, I can only speak for me, and I will say it's probably, at this point in time, I would say it's probably one of the best things I've ever done. And the only thing that I regret is, and you probably hear this a lot, why did I wait so long?
Yes.
Why did I wait so
I'm wondering
long?
why I'm waiting. I don't know why I'm still here. I'm trying to figure it out.
And I will say this, it's one of those things is, why do you wait so long? And a lot of people will say, and I'll tell you this, you'll never, ever have it all together. You'll never have it all together. You can, I tell people, I told someone this the other day, you can always make more money, but you can't always get your time back. So take this time that you have now, and if you want to go live somewhere, try it out for a while, do a sabbatical year or whatever you can do, and just go create your own life. It could be, a joke about selling fruit on the street, whatever. Just go, and you'll see that you are happier. I'll say, since I've been here, I am happier. I've hired a trainer. I've lost weight. My skin is clearing up, looking pretty clear right here. So
for all them dates, come
on. So things are, I almost want to say, for your mental health, it may be better just to leave, and take a chance on yourself and just go. Sure, people will say, oh, I'm afraid to leave America. I'm afraid. And I tell people, well, every moment that you step outside of your door is a moment that could be a door of fear. If you can step outside your door, you can go to work, you can go to the grocery store, you can go to the movie theater, you can move overseas, you can live overseas, you can live a different life. You can come here and live extravagant if you want. You can come here and be thrifty if you want. But try something, do it for yourself. Why you can, why you have time, since you can't get that back.
Wow. I don't even need to add anything to it. She gave y'all amazing advice.
I know, and I think that's a great way to end this podcast. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We appreciate you being here and just taking the time out of your day. Amazing.
Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a story, if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, I have a story, I've left America, then we definitely want to hear from you. Visit blackwomenleaveamerica.com. Go ahead and tell us your story there. Make sure you pick up our merchandise as well. You see Avalaura is rocking her t-shirt, and she has a mug too. Show them your mug. She chose pink. But if you like other colors, we have them.
That's because they didn't have purple. That's the only reason.
Okay, we gotta make
Pink was the next best thing. They didn't have purple.
So, if you're listening to this and you are enjoying this, please make sure that you share the podcast. Make sure you subscribe, tell all of your friends about it, and we will talk to you on the next podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Peace.